I died with so many regrets. Not yet, of course, but I can see that future so clearly. Me at the end of my life looking back, not sad about what I did, but sad about what I never actually tried. All those dreams that I never chased, all those ideas that I never explored. You know that feeling, right? The little voice inside that keeps saying you're meant for something more. But then life happens, emails pile up, meetings fill the calendar, and guess what? Bills need to be paid. And that little voice gets quieter and quieter. That vision of my future self, full of regrets, from the afterlife calling back to me, that's what finally woke me up. Because this voice inside isn't just some random thoughts. It's trying to tell you something important. 99% of people will spend their whole lives building someone else's dream. And then they hit 65 to maybe get a promotion and a nice watch and never know where the time went. But there's another way. And in the next few minutes, I want to show you why your inner voice matters more than what anyone else thinks. And I want to explain to you why smart people talk themselves out of their dreams over and over. Because I simply refuse to become that sad, regretful version of myself on my deathbed, looking back from the afterlife, telling me what I could have done. The worst lies are not the lies that people tell us. They're the lies we tell ourselves. And I can speak for myself when I was waiting to make the decision to actually go all in on my dreams of starting this channel, starting a business. Before I did that, I couldn't see past the reality of what I called being responsible, paying the bills, staying in what I called a secure salary, staying in the ecosystem that society had told me was the right way to do it, the responsible thing, the safe way to approach life. And I tried so hard to make sense within that ecosystem how my dreams could possibly live in it. But here's the thing. There is a fine line between it being a real problem that you need to stay put and actually just sophisticated rationalization that's telling us why we can't do it. Because we need to save money. We need to get a little bit more experience. We need to think about it a little bit longer before we make that jump. But what's happening is we're wrestling with ourselves. We're asking ourselves, are we okay with the status quo? And in many cases, we decide that we are. I know for sure that I wasn't. And because you're on this video, I feel like you probably aren't okay with the status quo as well. So I want to jump here on the chalkboard and show you what this actually looks like in real life. So on this left side, I want to talk about when the dream emerges. So the dream emerges here. And so this is where you are working or something pops up in your life throughout the day, you're driving, whatever it is, and you're like, wow, that would be really cool to do this thing or solve this problem. Or it may not emerge so much in your psychology. It might emerge more from the feeling of, I really want to help people, or I want to create this thing that would really light me up and also bring value to the world. In whatever way it shows up, the dream emerges in this moment. And we get excited, right? We get excited at this moment, and that's great. And if it's like me, I get excited maybe for like a day, sometimes a half a day, and certainly by the time I go to sleep and the next day I wake up, worry sets in. So there's this interesting mix between stress and worry, and the worry sets in, and this happens regularly. Even now, I struggle with this, even though I talk a lot about mindset and I've made major shifts in knowing how to work with myself and my natural energy to prevent this from happening. But it's not completely 100% gone. So when worry fires up, a couple things. Failure will ensue, right? Failure is going to come. Lose everything. I can't write. Lose everything. No money. Judgment, right? There's probably many more that you could fill in here. Let me know in the comments if you have more. But worry fires up. And this connects to the Maslow hierarchy of needs, which are things that connect to what we most deeply care about. Relationships, status, security. That's not all of them, but that's some of them. Those are the worries that fire up. And the one that I hear the most commonly and the one that I struggle with most were two things. One of which I would lose everything. And the other one was really this sense of judgment, but not necessarily just judgment from the outside world, judgment of myself that I may fail. So there was this sense of, I've gotten myself here. It's as if we're climbing a mountain and we want to be at the top, but we've gotten to a nice, comfortable spot halfway up, and we've we told ourselves we can stay here for the night, and then another night happens, and then another night happens, and we've created this bunker halfway to our dreams, and we've rationalized that it's okay because we would rather stay there because we know what to expect and we've become okay with it, the status quo, rather than taking that risk to climb even higher. But I'm going to talk about in a moment what's so great when you climb to that point. But these are the two things that happen. And then what happens is then I would often push this thing away, push it away, right? Push it down. I'm not going to think about it for a while. And I would get consumed with my normal status quo, right? And so then it's kind of like moving forward, and this is status quo. Guess what happens though? Dreams are actually not living on this exact path. This is the aha moment for you. This is our day-to-day life. So this is what's current in the 3D in front of us. This is the practical world, the actual world. Dreams exist and start out where? In our minds, in our imagination. It's in this ethereal world. Not to get too woo-woo here on this video, but it lives in energy. It's not materialized yet. It's waiting to really be manifested. I believe these dreams live out here in this kind of outer area. There's all these dreams bubbling up, and they're not quite so clear, right? They're these feelings. It's a sense of energy, a sense of excitement that's happening. And what the dreams are asking for and what we are hoping we can do and get courage to do is actually the person that's standing in the day-to-day, rather than pushing it down, we want to actually be standing here and go up and grab this dream and bring it back into the reality. This is what we want so badly. We want to manifest the dream. But these things that live very much in this 3D world that we're in hold us back and pull us down. And so this version of us that's standing here can't see how this materializes inside of this day-to-day life that we live in. This is where most people stay. And the person I talked to you about earlier, the me that is at the end of my life and I died being unsatisfied about what I created, that Joey stays safe and lives on this plane and never reaches out here for what true potential looks like. That's not a life I want to live. Why I'm making this video and why I want you to listen so closely. So this is the process that's happening that I think a lot of us are stuck in. This is when we become in an advanced state of living in the status quo, being comfortable with the status quo to the point where we've almost embodied pride in staying where we are. We tell ourselves beliefs that are ultimately false, or what I call loops, these stories that keep going through our mind. We tell ourselves, like I said earlier, we're responsible. We're the responsible family. We don't take risks. That's not what we do. We're grounded. We are focused. We are set on what we're doing, and we're not confusing ourselves with multiple ideas. There's so many ways that I use to describe the me that was by choice stuck in what was a very successful career and life, but one that was not satisfying me and was not giving me the opportunities that I have now because I've decided to break out on my own and make the thing happen. But in that moment, I rationalized with myself that those things were better than this thing that I just drew you here. Going out and living in that, pulling out from those dreams and bringing those into my reality and possibly breaking it. And so the thing is, we often start to align ourselves with people that are doing the same thing. That's a lot of what corporate America is. That's a lot of what the people do where I'll see a bunch of friends hanging out, and I call it the misery loves company group, where none of them really have the impetus to break out, and they get in this echo chamber of telling themselves all the same loop or the same lie, which is, we don't need it. We want life to be easy. We're just going to hang out. We're just going to have fun. We're going to enjoy what we're doing and not really think about bigger. But what's interesting is a lot of those people are stuck in those circles by choice. And this dream is screaming at them so loudly. And this is what happens. And you may be feeling this way on the video today. You get to the point where the dreams are literally shouting from this ether that I drew, down to you in the day-to-day world so loudly that you can barely focus on the day-to-day because they want to be manifested. You desire to achieve this bigger purpose that I believe you were called to the earth to create. You have your unique talents, your unique skills, a unique energy flow that, like I have, we all have our unique energy design. All of that matters. And there are specific dreams that you are meant to manifest. And that frustration that starts to mount when that dream is screaming so loudly and we're resisting it, that is no life to live in. And a lot of people that come to me in the Be Something Awesome community that want to work together are in this space. They're so maddened by the fact that they can't reconcile the dream and who they want to be with their day-to-day. And we talk about making a bridge to get there. So that's why it's so important to focus on this first. So there's this crazy phenomenon that happens. It happened with me and it happens with people that I work with that have dreams that are yet to be imagined and realized and manifested. And I call these moments something very specific. I'm going to first show you again on the board this day-to-day life that we talked about. So I've gotten a cleaner view of this now. So this is the plane that we live in now. And no matter how wild of a life you live, it's still pretty linear, right? We wake up, we do similar things, we have meetings, we do a bunch of stuff, we eat dinner, and we go to bed. So we all kind of, well, most people go to bed. We follow the same kinds of things, right? We wake up here and we fill our days here with whatever we want. And this is, of course, 24 hours in a day. Obviously, that goes past. So this is kind of the framework that we're living in. It's called the 3D in the manifestation world, or the reality that we live in. And for the purposes of this, I've made the dreamscape area that I spoke about up here more linear as well, even though I do believe it kind of circles around what we're doing. So there are these moments in our days where we don't follow this exact linear line, but we don't necessarily go all the way out into this space here. And so it's almost as if we wake up. This often happens for me in the morning where I get really motivated in the morning. I do some meditation and I get excited. And for a moment, I shift my plane or my way of thinking to open up this view, almost as if the sky opens and I can see outside of the horizon and I can see past to the clouds and stars above. That's exactly what it's like happening though in our internal world, in our imagination. And it's as if this opens up this view that may last for just a period of time into the dream. We can see it. And we get motivated about it. It's so clear. There's crystal clarity in here. Let's put clarity here. This happens for all of us, no matter how down and out you may feel, no matter how disconnected from your dream. If you are having dreams, they are coming to your brain for a reason. They exist in the imagination world and you see moments into them. And that clarity is really present in that moment. And sometimes we do sort of keep this window open for a while. So I'm trying to think how to draw this. So let's say down here, we open this up and it might be that the better part of our day, maybe here for 2 hours, we're kind of living in this big clarity zone. And I bet you, when you think about your life and when you had this happen in the past week, when you really felt in flow and you felt like you were moving towards something that was very passionate for you, the dream you want to create, this window here is what we're talking about. And these are what I call purpose peaks. I talk about these in some of my other videos. And obviously I'm not drawing it like a peak here, but what happens is it's almost like we're drawn toward the dream and it does lift us up. And for just a little bit of time, we're there, we're closer to it. We can sense it and feel it. This is how I visualize the world in which we live, where dreams feel out of reach. And so again, the goal is to pull these out and bring them down and turn them into our reality. But first, we need to observe these moments of clarity that we have. I guarantee you, you've had some, and you've probably had some in the past week or two. Actually, as I was starting to realize this a couple of years ago, when I felt the flow and I felt so close to those dreams, I started keeping a journal. You could do this in an actual handwritten document, which I like to do for this purpose because it feels very tangible, but you could also do it in an online form as well. The point is, document each day when you felt that window was open, when you felt as if you could see to that dreamscape or that sky and you felt connected, and rate how connected you felt to that dream. Was it a 1, which was kind of okay, or was it a 5, which was like I was in the zone? It was as if I was the future state of me that was living the dream and being there. And then I want you to do that over a couple of weeks, because then you're going to be able to come back and understand what was happening when that happened. Because for me, to give you an example, this would often happen because I work in creative strategy, and I work in corporate landscapes. Even though I run my own business now, I'm still very much working inside of a corporate business world where there's linear structures and there's specific work days. So there's a lot of regimented things happening. And what I found is when I would get projects or opportunities or clients that needed really big problem solving, that's when I would connect to the dream. Because for me, the reason I built the Be Something Awesome platform and the reason I do the work I do in my boutique branding agency, all of the work connects back to one central thing. I'm helping people identify the things they want to create, and I help them get closer to that through a bunch of ways. But first is understanding when they see it and how it feels, and putting words to what that dream looks like when it's brought into the 3D world down here. That is what my purpose is in this world. And it wears different clothing in different ways in my practical world or my 3D existence. It wears the clothes of my agency. It wears the clothes of this YouTube channel. But underneath all that, the dream is not that practical aspect. That's the way that it's showing up in life. But first, I needed to understand that my dream was really helping people in that way, because I have a sense of resonance when that happens. I just feel connected to my greater opportunity, my greater purpose. And I feel like I'm truly helping someone on an energetic level, because I see people light up. I see them find that clarity. And to me, that's awesome. This may not be your dream. Your dream probably has different words and different ways to describe it. And it certainly may have different ways that it manifests or becomes practical in the 3D world. But I wanted to show you how I think about this, because these purpose peaks, when we can get a little closer to the dream and the sky opens, this is gold. This is showing you what your dream is and what your full potential is. And when we talk about being at the end of our lives and we don't want to have any regrets, that future self is giving us cues and clues as we go through our life as to what that opportunity is. Time is limited. We are going to achieve, we're all going to end up on that place, in that place I opened the video with. What are we going to do in the meantime? That is what I love talking about and what I'm talking about in this video. This is the very work that I do with people inside the Be Something Awesome community, helping them first see this dream that they're feeling. When people show up to talk to me and really want help, they can see the glimmers of what that dream is. They can certainly feel it. And we start by putting words to it. How do you describe it? What problem is it solving? What way do you want to show up in the world? What is this disconnect between where you are here and where you are there? That's often a great thing we ask ourselves. What's missing in these moments in your day-to-day that you feel this dream is going to give you? For me, it was that sense of resonance and completeness. I felt that my full voice wasn't able to show up the way it should be, because I was kind of stuck in the confinement of a lot of rules and structure in the current corporate world I was in. And the dream was to have free, open space to be creative and dream. That was mine. But helping people understand that is the first step, putting words to that. And also crafting what that may look like, as I mentioned earlier, when you put the clothes on the dream or when it shows up in the world. What is that looking like? There are people that I work with that want to clearly start a business. I've done that, and I understand that very well. They want to leave their job and start a full-time gig. That's what a lot of people talk about. But it isn't just that. It could be people wanting to start a side project or a passion project, whether it's artists or people that want to become musicians, where they aren't looking to monetize it completely yet. Their life just isn't balanced out such that they can create that dream. They're not getting to it. This day-to-day, these rules and regulations and the financial security and all those things are standing in the way of them making space to bring parts of that dream world down to reality. And then there are people that want to just figure out what they want to do, whether that's them turning it into a part-time business or creating some sort of content platform like what I'm doing here. Those are a lot of the things that I talk about with people. So it's not one size fits all in terms of the end result. But the key thing about the end result is you're on this video because you're thinking about building something new and different. That may end up being a full-time business. It may end up being something part-time. But what I know that you know is it's different than where you are now. And it needs materialization and it needs some big picture thinking. And then we look at building confidence in that. What can we do? How can we look at our world and our past and the things that we have around us to give us a sense of stability and security with which we can build that dream on top of it and craft what that's going to look like? How is it going to help people? Putting words to it, putting proper frameworks to it so that we understand how to make it real. That's one of the most important things. And then from there, obviously, when people get to the advanced stage of things, we're talking about how to get it out to the world, whether it's packaging the dream, turning it into that business, really thinking about how to talk about it and how to align yourself with how you're expressing that dream publicly. And that alignment is what's really, really awesome. And that's how we culminate this work together in the community. So I wanted to share with you how we do it in the community because I think it's really important. So if you're interested in talking about any of those things, there's ways in the description that you can get more involved and set up a time to either talk with me or get involved in one of the current events or programming that we're running. So go ahead and jump in the description for the most current thing. I would love to see you, bring you from across the camera so we can talk to each other in real life. But in the meantime, what I wanted to talk about is this final piece, that this is a big, scary goal. Bringing this entire nebulous dream all downloaded at once into the 3D world, into practical. This is the final blocker that keeps so many people stuck. And it kept me stuck forever. And I understand. This is too big of a goal to really think about switching a light switch and going from where you are now to this overnight. That is not how the manifestations happen. They do happen by intention and making a choice. But what's interesting is when we start to break this dream down into little bite-sized chunks, we can start to see it. So we get that clarity and we bring down bite-sized chunks into our world. This is way easier. And I talk about this in some other videos, but one way that I did that was I was really interested in getting into the business community and starting my own business, but it was just not there were too many steps to make that happen in one swoop. So the first micro thing that I did about the dream was I thought, well, I want to start talking and sounding more like the people that are doing what I want to do. And I want to be inspired by them and being around them. So I brought that activity down to the 3D. You know how that manifested? That was me going to really cool business networking groups that really weren't serving me in my current day-to-day job or my day-to-day life. In some ways they were, but the main goal was to start dropping me into that future self that has manifested this full dream or brought it down to the real life, 3D life. Little micro steps. Trust me, that is way easier than trying to literally download this whole dream and do it all at once. So that's little micro steps you can do. And so that's something that I talk about with people in the community as well. And some questions you can ask yourself is, what is one way that I can actually get this started? So if it's starting a business, you could do something like that, getting yourself into the networking space, or researching something that will make you feel like that financial security is a little less scary for you. If it's getting involved in a passion project, drop yourself into that. Get involved in some things around it that help you start to shift your view. And what's going to happen is, what you don't see going into this, and what I didn't understand is, this creates, sorry, this is totally a mess, but I think hopefully you're tracking. This downloading those little micro pieces creates these purpose peaks because it gives you a moment to open that up. Let's do one over here. So let's say we bring down something here. Let's say that was a meeting that I went to or a new networking thing. It opened up this purpose peak moment where I was able to get closer to the dream for just a period of time. And the observations that you have when you're in this moment are so powerful. These are so powerful. And this is what helps us feel so close to that dream. And all this starts culminating and brings it down to reality. I know this is highly conceptual. I am a graphic designer after all. So thank you for indulging me on the diagram. I hope this really showed you how the gap between our dreams and the 3D practical world we live in isn't as great as we think. And most importantly, these moments of clarity that I showed you, these purpose peaks that get us closer to seeing the clarity of that dream, those are what we need to be paying attention to. Because if we don't, that's what's going to make certain that, like I opened the video, we're going to end up at the end of the road and we're going to look back and say, I regret not achieving my full potential and not showing up in the world like I knew that I could. And that's something that I don't want for you and I didn't want for me, because I know something to be true, like you do too. We only have 24 hours in a day. We don't control this. So we have to make the most of this time. And also, if you got value out of this video and something resonated for you, jump in the comments and let me know what stood out. Is your dream materializing already? Let me know in the comments what it is. Or if you're not sure and you just feel a disconnect, let me know in the comments as well, because I love getting them and I respond to all of them and I see them and we can talk in more detail. But also it shows other people watching this video that are just like you and me, that we know we want to do more. We're meant for more. And there's power in that community of seeing how other people are closing this gap between the dreams and the reality. So jump in the comments and let me know how this resonated with you there. I also love DMs. I will respond to you as quickly as I can. Both my LinkedIn and Instagram are in the description. Find me on there and we can have a two-way conversation. So go ahead and jump over and watch this next video, because it's going to talk about how you can overcome loops or that limited thinking I talked about. Thank you so much for spending time with me. As I said, time is valuable and you spent this time with me, so I really appreciate it. I'll see you over in that next video, and thanks for watching. Later.